as Denise said, we're going to have a look at some time-saving approaches that make your business life easier. Not Excel. I have a thing against Excel. I think most programmers do. It's great for making a lovely table, but people use it for all sorts of stuff. And I've walked into companies where they've been doing the most complicated data analysis in Excel, and it's kind of made me slightly nervous. So, other things that you can do. I'm not going to do an introduction. We're just going to crack straight on because we only have 10 minutes. So, first of all, segueing in from last week, as if 2 weeks ago, as if there was no gap. Password manager. So you can manage your passwords, you can manage your addresses, credit cards, everything perfectly safely on one site. So the good thing about this is that you can use apps that work across platforms. So you can use it on the same thing on your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on anything that you want. You don't need to save anything on individual websites, so you increase your security there. And it auto-generates your password. So every time you need to create a password with 7 special characters and numbers and uppercase and everything, it does that automatically for you at the click of a button. And what you get when you log into somewhere is you have a little thing on the right hand side of your username and your password that you can click, and that will automatically fill everything in for you, and you can view all of your passwords in one place if you want to. So I use LastPass. So the ones in purple here, as we're going through the stuff that I personally use. My husband uses 1Password, and that's fine. There's also stuff inbuilt to Apple and to Google. So there's quite a lot of choice out there, and there's more choice than I've listed. I've listed kind of the top ones that I know people have used. So managing your password, never have to remember anything again, never have to write anything down again. It's great fun. So I am a list taker. I make lists, I make plans, and have done from being very small. But I've only very recently swapped over to doing this electronically. It's still all been on paper, so I've had to lug my lab book around with me everywhere because it's got all my notes in. And I've recently swapped to using Google Keep about a year ago, and this gives you a nice lot of flexibility. You can create tick lists, so you can tick stuff off as you go. You can have little notes on different topics, so you can color code them, you can put pictures in, you can put web links in, you can save articles, all sorts of stuff. I found this a really nice thing to organize and get everything together in one place. Recently someone introduced me to Notion, which is kind of like almost the next level. So Notion, you can also do all of that. You can put timeframes on stuff as well. You can make a Kanban board, you can do time scheduling, and you can share this with your team. So if you're working with a group of people, the Notion is a nice way of sharing stuff. It's all integrated. You can use your computer, you can use your phone. It's very easy to add stuff to. So if you are still on paper, it might be worth having a look at one of these to see which works nicely for you. And certainly don't make your lists in Excel. One of my favorite things that I found was a time tracker. So I work as a consultant, I work with lots of different people. I need to track what time I've done on what project, and this needs to be quite straightforward and accurate. So I started using Toggle, which is excellent. You get a little thing on your computer, also works on your phone. You at a click on the play button, you record what you're doing. You can write little notes to yourself, actually, if you want to explain what you were doing, or just track it to the individual projects. This is great. You start work, you press play, you stop work, you press stop, and you go away and do something else. If you forget to press stop, it's even better on your computer because it pops up with a little window and you come back saying, you've not done anything for the last 20 minutes. What do you want me to do this time? So if you've gone into a deep think and just stopped typing, you can record that as work time. Or if you've actually just wandered off to go and do something else, then you can not record that as work time. So if you do actually end up wandering away and forgetting what you're doing, it's fine. It doesn't matter because it keeps an eye on you. You can also produce reports and billing for customers automatically if you want to. So I use Toggle, but there's Harvest and Hourstack as well if you want to have a look at one of the others. So scheduling your social media. We all know that there are times when your posts will have more impact on your chosen audience, and the special times you should post stuff to increase your reach. And this is great, but it might not work with your timeframes. You might actually be a morning person, prefer to do everything really early, or a late in the evening person, which is maybe not the best time for you to post. So if you use a social media scheduler, then you can write your posts when you want, and you can schedule them to go live when you want. So it gives you a nice lot of flexibility. It also means that you can actually just write your posts when you want. So if you're posting something every day, you don't have to set aside 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever your time block is every day to do this. You can do it all in one lot, and you can actually see what you're producing for the next 30 days normally on the free programs, and if you're on the paid programs, you can actually go for longer periods. So you can schedule everything, make sure everything is on brand, working for what you want, and pop it out there when it's ready. The other thing I particularly like with Later is you can actually post on Instagram on your computer, so you don't actually have to do that on your phone. So I use a combination of Later and Hootsuite. I think Later has a more user-friendly layout, but essentially they do the same job. There's nothing really to pick on their functionality. Email lists. So I do genuinely know people who have an Excel file with 17 tabs on with loads of email addresses, and what they do is they go through their list of hundreds of people each time and copy and paste their email addresses into their email client, which is not the most user-friendly way of doing this. So if you use something like MailChimp, which is your email client, not only can you save all your emails in different campaigns, you can group your email addresses together for the people that have signed up to your website. You can actually produce on-brand emails, so you can produce something that actually looks nice rather than just a bit of text and a cheers Tamara kind of thing. You can put your images in there, you can put videos in there, you can create the correct background, so you can keep everything with the same message for your business. So MailChimp is probably the biggest one out there, but there are others available. And sometimes actually, if you have a hosting on a website, that will actually include that in there as well. So you can make something that looks good and sells your brand as a sensible, coherent object. So I don't think we necessarily need to talk about this, but I'm going to. We've all heard recently about the slight issues we had with coronavirus data because they were storing it in Microsoft Excel and they'd exceeded the number of columns because they were also storing their data in columns. But there's a finite size to what you can get from Excel if you export it as an Excel document. If you export it as a CSV, slightly different matter. But even if you're get anywhere near contemplation that you've hit the limit on the size of an Excel document, you should be using something better. Let's use the correct word, something better. So you'll be looking at a database storage. This gives you access to all of your data. It saves all of your data, unlike Excel does it sometimes, but it also means that it's easy to get into, it's secure, it's backed up, more people can use it. So it's not just your Excel document on your laptop, it's stored in the cloud, so it can be there safely. You also get some excellent data analytics very easily included with that. So I've used quite a lot of these different things, working with various companies who store their data in different places. Amazon AWS and Microsoft Azure are kind of like the two big ones. And the AWS is a great system where you just basically pay for the storage that you're using. There's no kind of minimum or maximum. It's also good as a backup as well if you want to back your data up somewhere externally. My preferred option, if I have an app that doesn't do what I want it to do, or a process that doesn't do exactly what I want, is I write my own. A lot of the work I do is actually analysing data for people and creating bespoke analysis and bespoke tools. That should say good for regularity compliance, as long as you have actually gone through the correct processes of your code, not necessarily poor. If you don't do it properly, then it can be poor. Problem with data analysis is actually, it's us humans making an error when we're typing something in or selecting the correct little bit of Excel or whatever. And if you remove the person from the loop, basically, you get a good, robust system. This is great if you know how to program. And if you don't know how to program, I would encourage you to learn the basics and start having a go. But it will take a little longer than taking something that is off the shelf. And the last little bit I want to touch on is keeping your sanity and backing up your work. So don't assume that your laptop is indestructible, because it is very destructible, unfortunately. So keep keep 2 copies, run a backup very regularly, keep them in different places. I have one in the office, I have one at home. You can also pop stuff into the cloud if your data can go into the cloud as well, but make sure you have those safety nets there, that you're not going to lose your data just because you haven't got a backup of it. Right, so that's a very quick whistle-stop tour. What I've got, if I put this in the chat, is I've extended this a little bit into a blog post, which is on my website, which has a link to all of the links that we have here. Let's pop that up. So you've got all of the links that you can have a look at. You've got a couple of extra bits that I didn't have time to cover in the 10 minutes. With surveys and forms and a few other things there to have a look at. Yeah, so that's all there for you.